The clinking of glasses, the sharp hiss of the coffee machine, and the rapid shuffle of customers hurrying out before work filled the early morning buzz of Sunnyside Diner. To most people, it was nothing more than a tiny town eatery. But to Emilia, 24-year-old waitress with weary eyes and a warm, hopeful smile, was the place keeping her entire world from collapsing. Every tip meant a little more security. Every extra shift was another small victory. She wasn't just taking orders. She was fighting to keep her little brother in school and her mother's medical bills from piling higher than she could breathe. Emily had always been the kind of person others spoke fondly of. She never grumbled about the endless hours, the impatient customers, or the throbbing pain in her legs after closing. Instead, she created tiny sparks of kindness wherever she worked, slipping a free muffin into a child's bag, stepping in for a co-worker stuck at home sick, or topping off a coffee cup before someone even had time to lift it. But what Emily didn't know was that her generous heart would soon put her entire life at risk. On a rainy Tuesday morning, with thunder rumbling faintly in the distance, a scruffy-looking man pushed through the diner's door. His clothes were faded, his shoes nearly falling apart, and his exhausted expression made it clear he hadn't had a proper meal in days. Most of the staff barely looked at him, just another stranger passing through, someone easy to overlook. But Emily saw him. She walked up with her gentle smile, her notepad tucked against her palm. "Good morning, sir. Would you like to start with a coffee?" she asked softly. The man shifted awkwardly, eyes dropping. "Actually, I'm not sure I can. I don't really have enough money." Emily's heart tightened. In that moment, she remembered her own nights of going to sleep hungry so her brother could have a full plate. She didn't even think twice. Leaning closer, she whispered, "It's okay. Don't worry about it. Today's coffee is on me." The man lifted his head, startled by the unexpected kindness. Emily didn't stop at the coffee while the manager's back was turned. She quietly placed a warm plate of eggs and toast in front of him. The stranger blinked hard, emotion filling his tired eyes as he whispered, "Thank you, truly." But Emily didn't notice the pair of cold eyes, watching her from across the diner. Mr. Johnson, the manager, a man who cared more about profit margins than people, stood stiff as a board, his jaw tightening the moment he saw Emily's small act of generosity. He was the kind of boss who counted every napkin, every refill, every crumb. And right now, he looked like a storm ready to break. By the end of her shift, Emily was summoned to his cramped office. Her palms were damp, her heartbeat uneven as she sat across from him. "You gave away food," Johnson snapped, his voice sharp enough to cut glass. "He didn't have money," Emily replied softly. "It was just eggs and toast." "It wasn't. That's not your decision to make," he barked, slamming a hand against the desk. "Do you honestly think kindness pays the bills? Do you think the rules magically don't apply to you?" Emily tried to defend herself, but her words tangled in fear. It didn't matter. Johnson had already made up his mind, with a cold, final tone. He delivered the blow that shattered her world. "You're fired. Clear out your locker." Tears welled in her eyes as the weight of his words settled on her chest hairs, blurred Emily's vision as she stepped out of the office, the weight of humiliation pressing down on her chest. Her co-workers lowered their eyes, pretending to wipe tables or refill cups, too afraid to say a word. No one dared to stand beside her. With trembling fingers, she untied her apron, folded it slowly, and walked out of the diner she had poured her heart into. She felt hollow, wondering how she would face her. family, and explained that everything had fallen apart in a single morning. What Emily didn't realize was that the scruffy man she'd fed wasn't just another customer passing through. He was Daniel Walker, the CEO of the entire chain that owned Sunnyside Diner. He had been visiting undercover to see how employees were treated when no one knew he was watching. That night, sleep refused to come. Daniel lay awake, replaying the moment she slid that plate in front of him. The softness in her voice, and the cruel way her manager had crushed her for it. He'd seen greed and indifference from managers across the company, but compassion like hers was rare, precious, unforgettable. The next morning, Emily sat at her kitchen table, staring hopelessly at the stack of bills that seemed to grow heavier by the second. Her little brother hovered by the doorway, his voice small and worried. Are you okay?" She forced a shaky smile, hiding the storm inside her chest. "I'm fine," she whispered, though she felt anything but fine. Her world was collapsing, then her phone rang. "Hello? Is this Emily?" A deep voice asked. "Why, yes," she replied cautiously. "This is Daniel Walker. I'm the CEO of Sunnyside Diner. I believe we met yesterday." Emily froze, the color draining from her face. Her heart thudded. This had to be some kind of prank, right? "I was undercover yesterday," he continued calmly. "I saw everything. You didn't just serve food, you served humanity. And I watched how your manager treated you. His behavior was completely unacceptable." Tears pooled in Emily's eyes as Daniel continued speaking. "I want you back, not as a waitress," he said firmly. "I want you on my leadership team. People like you are exactly what this company needs." Emily gasped, her breath catching. She couldn't process the words. Just yesterday, she had walked out of the diner believing her entire future had collapsed. And now, her kindness, something she had never expected anything in return for, was opening doors she had never imagined existed. When Emily stepped back into Sunnyside Diner the following day, every head turned, but this time she wasn't wearing her stained apron or clutching her notepad. She walked in beside Daniel Walker himself, standing straighter than she ever had before. Daniel motioned for the staff to gather, and the room grew tense with curiosity. "Yesterday," Daniel began, his voice echoing through the diner, "I came here undercover to observe how my employees were treated. And what I witnessed was unacceptable. One of our kindest workers was fired. For showing compassion, a ripple of shock passed through the room. That ends today," he declared. Turning toward Emily, he offered a warm smile. "This young woman represents the true heart of this company. Starting today, she will help lead new initiatives to ensure kindness and respect become the foundation of Sunnyside Diner." Silence fell heavy. Stunned, undeniable, Mr. Johnson's face drained of all color. His hands shook. And right there, in front of everyone, Daniel informed him that his services were no longer needed. The manager who punished kindness was removed in a single moment. For Emily, everything changed overnight. Not only was she rehired, she was promoted to a position that gave her the stability she desperately needed to care for her family. But more powerful than that, she had a voice now. A real chance to make a difference. She created programs allowing employees to offer free meals to anyone in need. Reward systems that celebrated compassion instead of suppressing it. Slowly, Sunnyside Diner transformed into a place where kindness wasn't just allowed. It was encouraged. Her story traveled through the town like wildfire, then spread across the internet millions, inspired by the young waitress who lost everything simply for doing the right thing. only to rise higher than she had ever dreamed possible.